Well, I'm just enough of a fan that I was literally shortly after this whole story broke, which was like 250 days ago. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. I was getting a sandwich in a pizza shop behind the State House on a Saturday. And there's still snow on the ground. I remember that. So it was like February or somewhere in that vicinity. And they had a little TV on, as they usually do inside that kind of a place. And it had ESPN on it. And while I was waiting for the sandwich, Sports Science came on, which is a ESPN show that I watch all the time. And they said, does deflating a football make it easier or harder to throw it? We're going to answer that question. So I went, So I just put my elbow on the counter there and watched. And the answer was, it actually makes it harder to throw the football. You can't throw it with as much zip. Now, it doesn't matter that much on the margin. They made clear about that. And then the second part of the show was, is it reasonable to think that on a cold, wet, clammy day, a football might lose some of its PSI over the course of the first half of play? And the answer to that was yes. Not a lot, but yes. So I walked out of that thinking, okay, so it doesn't necessarily make it easier to throw a football, it makes it harder, and it's possible that just the weather conditions would have had some impact on the ball. And then when I read the American Enterprise Institute response to the Wells report, one of the things they said was that the NFL's rules and policies and execution on those rules and policies around what the actual PSI was in the footballs on the day of that game, before the game, was pretty haphazard. And they basically said that the way they did the review at halftime was also haphazard. And they made a pretty compelling case that you put those two things together on the margin, the weather and everything else, very hard to judge this one. So from my point of view, from that point forward, I was pretty well convinced that whatever happened here was accidental at best and at worst, and probably not deserving of much. And was surprised by the 4-game suspension and thought it was over the top, and was glad to see Judge Berman take it away. And that makes me probably, as a private citizen and a football and a sports fan, probably about as informed as most of us were. I don't think people, I'm sure there were people that dug into every report and every read and everything. But I did see a couple things that were pretty compelling to me.